Hey guys, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez, coming at you today with a interview with Synth Daddy, aka Lucas, aka Robert with guns, robots with guns. Tell me, I was just looking at your link tree before and everything that you've been doing. You're a man of many hats. You do a lot of things. What right now do you think is the favorite part of your life? What is you're most excited to do each day?
Um, wow. I mean, I've started working on more music recently. So that kind of like if I'm in a good creative space musically, usually, it's kind of everything else kind of falls into place as well. So I've been working on some new music, but also working on painting and doing some other stuff. The last album, I had to kind of take a little break. I was a little creatively exhausted after that. I've been working on a lot of stuff. So right now I'm just kind of chilling out and doing a little bit of different stuff, but in the background I kind of have plans for the future. So I kind of have like the next 2 years or so planned out.
Okay,
But I
that's
think it was the plan, so we'll see what happens.
it's not easy to do to plan that far ahead and to stay on point with it. So is this out of all of your careers, all the things that you're into, is this something that you have similar to like college students? They'll do research on one paper, but some of their research will overlap for another. Like your paintings, do they ever make it into your music videos?
Um, no, I kind of it's weird because I kind of keeps things separated for the most part, like my artwork and everything that I've done in the NFT space, particularly and everything. But I've also realized that in order to leverage my, you know, everything that I've done so far, and as far as exposure and everything, I kind of do have to overlap a little bit, and I kind of have fun doing that. So like with the Tiger series and everything, working with my illustrator who did the Tiger for actually it's in the background,
I
the
see it.
original one
About that.
from the album cover. That's kind of a way to kind of bridge the people that know me like from outside of music to see the music and vice versa, especially with like NFTs and stuff like that.
What did you name that one? The tiger in the back.
He doesn't really have a name.
Ooh,
He's
okay.
nameless. Yep,
Untitled
just a
art
wild
project.
style tiger. But yeah, my illustrator, Reno Masad, who I've worked with on a lot of my album covers, when we did my fourth album,
Mhm.
I think it was fourth, Wild Style. When we first got together, because we had done the previous one fully together, that was fresh as it gets, and we kind of came up with the characters and everything, and I kind of knew what I wanted. And then this time, going into it, I was like, I'm not really sure what I want, but I know it's got to have a hot pink tiger and with a gold chain. And so that's where we kind of started from. And then that's what ended up becoming the Wild Style cover, where it's the tiger with another character. And I
Yeah.
just kind of took the tiger and made an NFT series to kind of
Okay.
introduce those people to the music.
So with the music, what inspires you most to create? Is it something that you see in your artwork? Do you take some of that plant back there and have a and roll a fat one and try to think of things in a hallucinogenic way, or does it just come to you?
Um, it's kind of a little bit of both, I guess. I think I find inspiring is like kind of commercialism and marketing and
Hmm.
uh, that kind of that kind of world that's created that's outside of our world that we kind of create with marketing. So it's like when you see a commercial, it's like you're seeing a glimpse of like this world that's created that's not quite it's meant to look like what our life is, or meant to kind of show you what life could be, however you want it to be, but it's not necessarily how it actually is. So it's like this kind of plasticky interpretation of it. So I'm very inspired by that. And so when I kind of go about making music, I'm like, how can I create a world that is fun and you can dance to, that kind of emulates that plasticky facade, but is kind of tongue in cheek about it.
Uh,
I guess.
So a lot of the music you said you just want to have a good time and dance to, like at a party, at a rave. I was just at Fire Island this weekend. So good, so much fun. Where is the Where's the strangest place that you've heard your music? Like, oh, I didn't realize that they would play this here.
Um, hmm, good question. I haven't heard it in many places, but I think one time I was in Vegas and I was by the pool and they played one of my tracks, and I was um, with my dad at the time because we would do like an annual Vegas trip together, and I was like, "Oh, Dad, this is one of my tracks." Like, and he was just like, "Oh, okay, cool," and that was pretty exciting. But I was like, "Oh, I didn't even know that would get played there." It was just like a pool DJ.
Oh, that's so cool. Did he know who you were?
The
The pool
DJ?
DJ? Yeah.
No,
Oh, I didn't.
no, we were just at the pool.
Okay.
Yeah, and I didn't know the DJ or anything, so that
All
was
right.
kind of
I don't know if that was like a
surprising.
troll, but like, oh, he's here. He's here. Let me play one of the songs. See if he notices. See how he reacts.
No, I don't think people recognize me. I haven't recognized just a couple times, like at a drive-through, because of my tattoo, and so then they'll be like, "Oh, I think I follow you on Twitter or
Oh,
something."
okay.
Yeah, so I'll be
So
like reaching for my food, and then I have to pretend. I had to pretend. It happened twice, but I'm like pretending that all the food I was getting was for more than just me.
same. Yeah, I had two fish fillets yesterday from McDonald's, which it's not a lot. It's not like a ton of food, but I had already had a bunch of drinks at Fire Island and a bunch of other stuff and a bunch of food. It's like, oh, this is topping off the night with those munchies. But the
Yeah.
so how often I've been meaning to ask you about this. I told a friend I'd ask. What or when you do the OnlyFans, you ever get recognized from that?
No. The OnlyFans is kind of more of a recent thing.
Okay.
I had a Patreon that's kind of basically the same thing, and it
Ooh.
kind of just started as a joke, and where I sold pinup prints, and those sold out. So I was like, oh, let me just go along with it. And I ended up moving to the OnlyFans platform just because it made things more clear and less confusing. Because I think a lot of people don't really necessarily understand how Patreon works with the tiers and everything. And
Yeah.
it just kind of simplified it and made it more of an interactive platform. But I haven't really been doing it enough. It hasn't been that long of a time, but no, I
Okay.
haven't.
How many subscribers do you have to the OnlyFans?
I have to check, but I think the last time I checked, it was like about like 130.
Nice. That's awesome. The
So
has
it's just
there
kind of like a fun tongue in cheek. It's nothing really like explicit per
yeah.
se, but I definitely feel like there's not really any shame in it, and I feel like people, especially artists, sometimes when they're afraid to kind of put themselves out there, it kind of helps the self confidence out a little bit, and it helps me to not take myself so seriously. And I was just like, and kind of part of me was just like, let me see if I can get like all these people are like top 10 or top 1% of OnlyFans. I'm like, I want to do that.
I want to do that too. But you said you don't do like any like really explicit stuff, you said, right? It's
Yeah,
just pinups. Okay.
yeah.
Have you had any offers? Have it be like, hey, I'll tip you like $100 or $500 if you do this? Would you do it or not enough?
Depends on what it is. I mean, I don't really, you know, take anything off the table, but I don't know. Just have fun with it, and who knows? I never say never, but yeah, it would have to be a lot. But I like having doing like cheesy photo shoots,
Yeah.
where it's kind of like a Playgirl style pinup, like a retro kind of thing. I like playing around with that and just kind of. I think it's shocking to people because they don't expect that, especially from like a little chubby nerd
Yeah.
who makes electronic music. So I think people don't expect it, but I think that the reaction has been pretty really supportive, and people think it's ballsy and awesome, and it just kind of makes me feel like those anxieties that I feel and that imposter syndrome, it helps with that, because then it's just like kind of put yourself out there, and it's like there's not really anything else to hide, and you realize nobody really gives a shit anyways.
Yeah. So when you said imposter syndrome, you mean like yourself, like on the music scene or in the OnlyFans scene, crypto scene? Where do you feel that the most or the strongest?
In general, mostly as a musician, because I am an electronic musician. I don't really know instruments very well. So I've always kind of felt like not like a real musician in some senses. And I think a lot of artists have the same, feelings, where they just kind of feel like they're not, I don't know, they're just like, faking it so you make it. But so I feel that a lot. But the OnlyFans thing kind of helps with that, because then it's just like, who cares?
Has that helped you take different paths that you wouldn't have? Like, oh man, I don't know if I should do this sound with these lyrics, with this whatever. And has that made you like, oh, I'm doing OnlyFans now, I can do whatever. I can do whatever I want.
No, I've always kind of felt like that.
Yeah.
I think that's been uh, a big thing for me as far as working with labels and things like that. I've gotten to the point where I'm pretty much, I'm not saying that like I'm completely against record labels, but I have learned that it's not valuable for at least me as an artist to be signed as an artist because of those creative decisions, because I've always not really cared, and wanted to do what I wanted to do and kind of push the envelope. I remember, when I had a Universal contract in front of me, and the guy who presented it to me was a former manager who was the head of the label, and he was just like, I think iTunes is going to have a problem with the album. It was actually this album cover, because it also features a female character on the front with the tiger.
Yeah.
And I think actually originally there was a version of it where she didn't have a shirt on. You don't see anything, but it's like very coy about it. But it's provocative a little bit. But she does show side boob, and he's like, oh, I don't think iTunes is going to really like that.
Yeah.
So when I went into the negotiation for the contract, I'm thinking, okay, if they want to say that we're going to do whatever you want to do, but at the end of the day, they get a final say, and if they say, oh, iTunes is going to maybe have a problem with this, whether or not they are or not, I mean, it hasn't been a problem. And that album's been out for well over 5 years. Then they get the final say, and there's nothing I can do about it. So that's a big part of why I've stayed independent. And then now I have a manager who's Liuba, who's very supportive and really cool, and lets me do my thing, reels me in sometimes in a rational way, but kind of lets me just go for it, because I do like to kind of push the envelope and be provocative and just kind of do do my marketing in a little bit of a different way that maybe is counterintuitive. Yeah.
So speaking of unorthodox, you've been in, or you've hosted several different spaces varying a bunch of different subjects. Some of my favorites are crypto, and then the supernatural one that you had where we were talking about like aliens, and when the whole thing was with we were in like I don't know, you said you just got really high that night. You weren't sure like what we were talking about. How deep into you are you into like aliens, or like this is a simulation, or like flat earth theory or anything? How deep into you are that?
I would say kind of not at all. But I think it's fascinating. Like my one album, Cult Pop, if you look at the artwork, I have a lot of Easter eggs that kind of deal with like Illuminati and conspiracy theories and things like that. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm at all, pretty much. Kind of sometimes, but I just think it's fascinating, and I think it's fun to kind of just explore that and make fun of it, and take it for a grain of salt. I think sometimes, especially with the Twitter platform, it's easy for me to I run into this mistake a few times I don't know. There was one Twitter space that I did it, and I really stepped in it, where I thought that the speaker was like a comedian. I thought, oh, like he's a comedian, and like, no, he's just a rich guy that likes to brag about crypto and how much stuff he has.
Oh, is that Rich?
Wait, what's his name?
Oh, was that the guy? We'll call him. I don't want to call him out. Rich. He's like a little chunky, but he like has a ton of crypto. Is like a billionaire.
Yeah, and he wears like a diamond chain
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I thought he was a comedian. I thought he was trolling people. I didn't think he was serious. Yeah. And so at this point, sometimes I don't even know when I'm serious in that, but I think Twitter is a platform that is meant to not be taken too seriously and just to kind of have fun with it and, just kind of see what happens.
I think so too. So so some of the other spaces that I really liked were you were involved with crypto. I think that was one of the other things where that guy Rich was in, and he was telling everyone about like his crypto is like the best. And it's like, no, it's not. It's totally security. But what are some of your favorite cryptos right now, or investing in general? What do you like to go into?
I haven't really explored a lot of the cryptocurrencies, to be honest. I have some Dogecoin and just kind of some of the sillier ones, but mostly just kind of stick with Ethereum. I've kind of been, I found most valuable about the NFT community is just kind of the networking and meeting other creative people and really cool people. But I haven't really done a whole lot of investing and kind of getting really into the crypto scene as deeply as I know some of my other friends have gotten really deeply into it, like with the Safe Moon and the different cryptocurrencies, because I think they come and go, and I think the reason why I kind of stick around is more kind of the community aspect of it, because let's face it, I'm not a big finance person, and I'm not a big gambler, and so I don't put much investment into that. But it's really cool to kind of meet people, because it's a lot easier when you have these networks of people that are into this certain thing, and so it's easier to find people that have creative similarities.
Yeah, I love the community. It's again, you have every now and then you have like one or two bad eggs, but outside of that, you have and there's like, I'm a full degenerate, like full advice, like I'm all in on crypto, like 95% of my net worth. So the complete opposite. And it's like the only other time where I've really had this like camaraderie with people is really in the military. Like that's the only other time we're like, we're all in this together. Like we got this, fam. And it's fun to be like on the underdog of things, where people think like, oh, that's silly, or NFTs are a scam because they don't know what they are. How do you go and educate people, or what are your thoughts on the best way to educate people about NFTs to let them know that they can be whatever you want them to be, and it doesn't have to just be a scam or pyramid scheme? That could be actually art and what people value.
I think I kind of stopped doing that in general, in the sense that I got exhausted and I felt like when I got into it, it was an actor, a friend of mine who was an actor / musician. I won't say who it is, but he called me up one day and was just like, "Hey, you should get into crypto." And I had been involved in a crypto-based streaming platform project that was starting up. I think Gareth Emery was the one who started that up, and he invited me to kind of be a part of it as one of the initial artists. That one ended up not succeeding, so it's kind of like, I'm over it. So when he said that, I was just like, I don't know. But he's like, a lot of people already know who you are. They listen to your music. I think it'd be good for you. And so he kind of showed me how to set up a MetaMask wallet and do all that stuff. But it was kind of a very hands-on, in-depth process to kind of get me into it, which is just kind of like, that's the kind of exhausting part of it, is getting people over that line where they understand it. But I think, like, with people, especially with like older people who aren't as tech savvy,
Impossible.
I think the best way to kind of put it is just to say, like, just kind of simplify it to smart contracts are a thing that are going to be used in the future, prevalently, for anything from, titles. Like if you get a car off of Craigslist and you want to see who owns, like, you're like, okay, I like this car. You can look up and see, okay, who owns the title, and that you don't have to rely on a physical title or anything. And you go, okay, this is who owns it. Things like that, and with housing and things like that, everything's on a smart ledger, and so things like someone's putting the wrong zero here or there, doesn't kind of happen. So I kind of like to simplify it to just blockchain and smart contracts. And then, as far as NFTs go, it's hard to kind of explain it without sounding ridiculous.
Yeah, it's hard, especially like you said with the older people, like trying to get someone that's like 60-something years old to get a MetaMask and to wrap the Ethereum and try to go to OpenSea. It's really hard. So I like the company called Vivi. Have you heard of them?
No.
They made it really simple where all the digital collectibles are on this platform that you just put in like credit card or PayPal, and you get this thing called gems. One gem is equal to $1.
Oh, okay.
And that's
Okay,
it. So it's super simple.
About that.
And so it's a lot easier to get anyone of any age. Don't have to be tech savvy into that. And again, full degen mode here. I went and spent like $50K on a bunch of their NFTs because, I mean, they don't just have like random ones. They have like Spider-Man and Superman. They have all the licenses from like Disney and like Star Wars and all that. So it's fun. When you had found success.
I've been a part of a few projects. I've done some stuff with Deadheads, which I really like. They're really awesome. And a few others, and had a not so great experience with one called Speakerheads, which you might have heard of.
I haven't.
Talked about it.
What were they about?
So it was like a bunch of artists, and it was going to be, we contributed exclusive tracks for it, and it was a generative project. Basically, long story short, they didn't pay out the artists. It didn't go as planned. They didn't sell out like they thought it would, and it was just a mess. And they didn't pay out. It's a little bit of a mess, but I'm not letting that experience kind of jade me from going forward and checking out other things. I'm just much more weary now.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of bullshit in NFTs and crypto, just like in the music industry. So I just kind of keep an eye out for that. But I think it'll be really cool for future distribution to be able to distribute my music directly to people and have like more interactive experiences. So once I kind of have a better handle on everything, I think I'll experiment and explore with offering those cool interactive collectible experiences.
As you get bigger and as your platform grows, whether it's on Twitter, YouTube, music industry, would you ever say like, hey guys, I'm releasing a whole bunch of NFTs, but there's going to be 100 of them and 100 of really special ones. And if you are lucky enough to get one of these really special ones, you can come backstage and do like a private show. It's essentially going and saying, hey, here are these backstage passes, but in NFT forms. Would you do something like that?
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of the appealing things of as an independent artist being able to do. I just definitely have to make sure logistically that it works out. I know a lot of times people have offered experiences in NFTs that that maybe they haven't fully figured out how to implement beforehand, and kind of like, okay, we'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that if I do offer something like that that it's something that I know can be done, and I kind of plan for, so that nobody's kind of left in the dust going like, oh, I didn't get what was promised.
Yeah. I remember, I think MTV had to redo one of their things when they had, it was like 20 years ago. If you won like a contest, you were able to go and meet one of your favorite bands, like Green Day or whoever, and then they never said that you could just meet, you can like do something with them. You just had a quick like meet. It was like 30 seconds and it was over. So they had to redo everything. It's like, okay, you get to meet them and then you get to do something else. You get to play like ping pong with them or something. Because they had like so many complaints. It was crazy.
Yeah, so I definitely want to make sure that the expectations are correct, and that, kind of can deliver on that. I'm not really much of a touring artist.
Yeah.
Next year I plan on going on tour for a little bit, but overall I don't tour very much. But I think there's other kind of cool interactive things, especially because a lot of times when I put out music, it's album based and concept album. So it's kind of like a whole era that goes with it. So kind of doing unique, cool things like that.
Where
Goes
are you
with
touring next year?
So I plan on doing it. I don't want to say too much yet because it's nothing set in stone.
Yeah.
But plan on doing like a East and West Coast U.S.
Okay.
summer tour.
Oh, that'd be great. If you come to New York, let me know.
Yeah, definitely.
That'd be
Oh,
fun.
definitely in New York. That's actually where my manager is based out of.
Oh, sweet.
Primarily.
So
New York.
I mean, I know you don't want to give out too much information. What, like, so the places that there would be giant places, or they'd be like, all right, hey, we're going to this club tonight, or we're going to this. Like, it's not going to be like a stadium, right? Or will it? Okay. I don't know if you're like piggybacking on someone else's tour and opening for someone, like that would have been fun.
No, I mean, it might be something like that a little bit. I'm not really sure, but if for the most part, it's probably going to be more intimate, like clubs and stuff like that.
Yeah. Who do you hope to collab with? Like, who's like when you were younger, or even now, like who's someone that is like, oh, I would love to collab with this person, or go with them on tour?
Actually, I haven't thought about this in a little bit because I haven't kind of been working on stuff. There have been some really cool people that I've actually gotten to collaborate with, that I've always wanted to, which is cool. But I want to work with Charlie XCX. I think she's pretty cool. Hoping she goes independent, because I think that'll be a really cool thing for her. But I like a lot of kind of underground artists that are independent. I like working with those the best because they don't get as much exposure, and also kind of easier to work with, because then you can kind of work creatively first and then figure out all the business
Logistics
stuff
later.
after. Yeah.
So when did you think that you turned the corner and first started, like, what was the reason that you first started getting a lot of followers on Twitter, a lot of interest in your music? What do you think it was that sparked that off?
I think being very active on it and just kind of having fun with it, and just kind of making jokes. And I remember, like I used to just post a bunch of like retro 80s and 90s photos and put links to my music that way. So that's kind of how I promoted my music. And also I think the way I approach social media is very kind of just balls to the wall. Like, I don't care, kind of faking it. Like I'll just hit up anybody and act like we're best friends, because who cares? It's social media. Like, worst case scenario, they don't respond.
Yeah.
So I think there have been times where, like, for instance, with Taylor Swift, where she tweeted me back, and I didn't realize that she even knew who I was or listened to my music, but she said, "Hey, I really want a T-shirt," and I didn't expect to get a response, but that's just how I am. I just shoot my shot and just like, I'm like, fuck it, I don't care, and then I just see what happens. And I think so. I think a lot of that risk paid off by just kind of putting myself out there and not really being shy on social media.
Yeah, I do much the same. I like half of the interviews that I get, like yours, I just ask, and they either say, like, worst thing they can do is say no. So I just,
Yeah.
so that's fine. So wow, you got Taylor Swift. Who else have you had to gotten to interact with you and do stuff with you that we might not know of? Because I didn't know that story.
There have been a lot of people, actually. I think, interestingly enough, my manager now is manages Kaiza and Chufu. Who Chufu did a lot of cool remixes back in the day, like 10 years ago. Back when I was in college and stuff, and so I used to listen to him a lot. And he's been a pretty active DJ in the New York scene, especially with house. And so I ended up just kind of, reaching out to both of them separately. Like, it was just kind of a coincidence thing that I was fans of both of them, and then ended up being introduced to her by Chufu, and I had already spoken to Kaiza and everything. So it just kind of happened by coincidence. So it becomes a quite small world once you kind of just network with everyone. And I know a lot of actors now and everything just because of Twitter, just being active on.
So where do you see your brand going? Or I mean, I know obviously, the music is probably most important to you, but now that you're getting quite a bit more famous and you have more doors being open to you, what's something that you never thought you'd be able to do, but you might be able to do soon?
I think at this point it's kind of like a sky's the limit kind of thing, where I've always been kind of all over the place. Maybe it's my ADHD, I don't know, but I've always had a lot of different plans, a lot of different cool things that I want to do. I'm trying to focus on kind of one thing at a time for right now, just to make sure that I don't have a lot of things that I start that I don't finish. But I think it would be really cool to start a clothing line that's just kind of like goes with the style, and just kind of like a cool branding tie-in. I think it would be cool to have products, like offbeat products that kind of are unexpected, that go in with the marketing for an album. So for instance, like an energy drink, like that is just tied into one album or one promotional thing. Because like I said, I'm inspired by marketing and kind of that cheesiness of it, and kind of seeing how far you can push the absurdity. So there's not really anything off the table.
If we're going absurd, can you bring back like the Jenko jeans look? Like make them like your brand, but you remember the Jenko jeans that were like normal around the thigh, but they were really, really wide around like the ankle?
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of those.
No, I think it'd be great if you did that. You said you were really into marketing. Have you heard of the Free Water Company?
No.
They sell the ad space on the can so that they're able to give out water for free. So right now they're only able to do it in like bulk. So they can't just send you like a free like case, they'd have to send you like a ton. But yeah, they're out in like California, I think. I forget what they're called, but if you Google like free water, you could do that. Uh,
Oh wow, that's
what?
pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty legit. It's awesome. Like they sell all the ad space like as much as they can. Do you think that in the future a lot of products will be advertised like that because people will want to go and not only maximize their ad space and being able to say, oh, I have partnerships with these people, but also be able to go and say, hey, I have the cheapest product and it's helping people save money? Or do you think that this is just one company and that's it?
I think, yeah, it'll definitely be a future, because I mean that's kind of how social media has been, where it's like you have this free product that you're advertised to constantly. Um, I think that's always kind of been where it's been heading, because I think with streaming versus cable. Like you don't have your classic commercials anymore as much.
Yeah.
So they kind of think of new intuitive ways to market and advertise. But I think it'll definitely be kind of a collaborative thing in the future, with brands doing stuff like that. Even people like getting, something tattooed on them that, I've heard of that before, and I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I wouldn't put it past anything at this point of becoming a thing that we see commonly.
Speaking of tattoos, have you ever seen someone with a tattoo of you, or of your name?
Not quite. I have seen robots with ray guns tattoos. So like one of the characters from the album covers, the logo, things like that. I was really bad though at like keeping them in like a folder or something. Like I didn't make a folder to keep those, going like, oh, I want to make sure that I have those.
Yeah.
So like the ones that I found or that people have shown me are all over my phone somewhere deep in there that I would have to like find. And so I'm kind of mad that I didn't start like a folder specifically for that, to kind of keep track of those so I can look back at those or show them off. But yeah, there have been a few people that have done that, but one dude said one of the NFT people said he was gonna get my face tattooed on his ass, but I don't think he'll go through with it.
That would have been amazing. I don't know how I'd feel about that. I have one dude that has the real Randy Chavez tattooed on his wrist, and it's not my face or anything. It's just like the lettering of the names, but it's still wild. I don't know how much I don't know if I would tell him to not do that. It was to get my name on his butt or my face on his butt. I mean, the free advertising, I guess, in a way. If there was a company that maybe, let's say, you didn't agree with some of their business practices, or maybe some of the people that own the company, would you turn away an advertiser even if they were going to pay like top dollar? Like, hey, I can't do it. Or at that point, it's like, well, I could use this money to help other people and to like better the world, so I'd rather take it from them.
It depends on the situation, but for the most part, being independent really helps to make sure that you're only doing what you feel goes along with your branding, what goes along with your values. I haven't really come across the issue very much, but yeah, it depends. If someone's going to give me a fuck ton of money and it's like something that it's not that big of a deal, like screw it, I'll do an ad for adult diapers or whatever if I ever get to the point where people are throwing money at me to do advertising. Who knows? But I don't think I'm quite there yet where people are doing that. But I think as long as I can kind of keep doing what I'm doing and be comfortable, then I'm fine. And so it's not going to be an issue to kind of turn down things.
Does the the potential of hyper success worry you? That you might, hey, this much money can cause issues, or this much fame can cause issues? Or do you think you'd stop yourself before it got to that point?
I don't think anyone really can. I don't think anybody is truly really prepared for that. It does worry me sometimes when I see other people, people that I know or don't know. I think at a certain point, it doesn't really make you happier, but it'll make you crazy. And I feel like I have enough crazy that I don't need to add more. So I've thought about it a little bit, but at the same time, I mean, I think life's kind of nuts as it is. And, I think creative people, and when you do something that's not like a 9-to-5 kind of job, it kind of warps your brain a little bit in a different way than maybe a lot of people are accustomed to. But I think that can definitely change it. But as long as you keep people, I find that as long as I keep people around me that will call me on my bullshit, then I'm not really that worried. You know what I mean? Like if I have people like that in my life that I know will do that, and not be afraid that I'm going to get angry or anything, then you're in a good place. Otherwise, if you have people that, if people in your life don't feel like they can tell you that, then that's when you got to be careful.
That's a good point. I'm pretty blessed to have friends like that. It's like, hey, you need a friend to tell you this. Like, you need to do this, and then I was like, okay, good point. But you said you were a little crazy. What are some of the crazy parts about you, or parts that you think are crazy?
I don't know. Have you seen my tweets? I think
the one where you showed your butt. That was great.
I've done that quite a few times. I don't know. And I don't even think I'm that strange or anything. I think I just kind of am very satirical and kind of blunt, and just kind of have fun with things. I don't really have a filter as much. So I just kind of like, fuck it, let me just go nuts.
Has it ever
If
gotten you in
something's
trouble?
ridiculous, I kind of want to do it. Not as much as I would think. Sometimes I think I kind of push the limit to kind of see how far I can go. And I'm surprised at what I get away with. But yeah, I think there have been a few times where things have been misconstrued or just kind of taken too seriously. Just kind of like internet beef things that weren't beef. It was just me making a joke or something.
Yeah.
But it actually hasn't been too bad. I've learned that there are certain people you can't make fun of, or you'll get death threats. So
who are some of those people? Is it like, yeah, like who are some of those? Is it just like random politicians and they have their like cult following, or is it like a
Beyonce or BTS?
Okay. That's fair.
I just randomly tweeted BTS sucks just to see what would happen. I got like the most violent creative death threats.
Oh my god!
And people telling me I should kill myself.
So what do you do? Like, do you just hit the block button? Do you report? Do you take down the tweet? Like, what do you do?
It comes and goes. Like it at the end of the day, after a day or two, nothing happens anymore anyway. So I find that I don't really block many people. It's only if somebody's harassing me, or like over and over, and it's annoying. Or honestly, I think most of the time that I've blocked is when people like add me to things that are like a chain where like there's a whole bunch of people tagged in it, and it just goes on, and I don't really care. But my philosophy is, if it's mean, if it's funny, then it's like I don't give a shit. Then I'll like retweet it. I'll respond to it. As long as it's funny, then I don't care. Then I have fun with it, and we'll kind of go along with it. And then a lot of times you find that people are just, they just want attention, or I think, or then they respect you for taking it in stride and not taking it personally. So I just try to remember that nothing on that platform should be taken seriously, and especially when anybody doing anything where you're putting stuff out there for lots of people to experience. Everyone's going to have their opinions, but I just remind myself that those people that I don't know and don't care about their opinion, doesn't bother me.
That's a good point. I love things that are funny, even if it is like dark. Like, have you ever gone on 4chan?
Not a big 4chan person.
No, that's just one of the places where they joke about things that probably shouldn't be joked about, and I love that type of stuff. I mean, I don't know how public I can be about that and like the things that I laugh at, but it would be worse. Like I was going to ask you about this too. Do you think that over the last couple of years, like me and you could tweet like the same thing, and they might give me a pass on it because I'm a minority, and they wouldn't give you a pass on because you have like the white privilege and they need to like take you down. Does are you ever afraid to like a tweet, or are you ever afraid to be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say this, even though it's not really bad? People might try to cancel me.
Sort of, but at the same time, like I try not to, because I feel like I'm very much against censorship in general, and I think that especially creatively, people it's kind of an artist's not job, but like it's part of being an artist, I think, to provoke and to make people think. And I think that, you know, the culture right now is not very supportive of that. But I think the best thing I can do is to if it's something that I feel strongly that it's not that big of a deal, or if it's misconstrued. Like, for instance, the example I can think of is like recently I was just like, Demi Lovato is not non-binary; she just wants attention. And so the reaction that I got, there were a lot of people that all of a sudden I was like transphobic, even though I was talking about a specific person and saying that they're being performative about something. So if anything, I'm actually kind of supporting a group because I'm saying like, hey, she's just pretending to do this just to get attention. But it's things like that. But then at the same time, I'm not really that afraid because of the fact that you just have to remember that those people aren't the majority of people. Like, those are the people that may seem loudest on the internet, but those aren't most people. And I feel like my fan base and a lot of people that I've come to know, they understand the nuances of things. And I think those people that don't tend to be, you know, just randos sitting at a keyboard, to be honest. I mean, most of the people that were giving me that response, I'm like, I have no idea who these people are. Their avatar is like of some pop star, and like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really matter that much. And I think we just have to remember that, you know, and that helps with, you know, anxiety, because I think a lot of people have anxiety now because in a way they do take it personal, or they do feel like, oh, everybody's, you know, making a big deal about this, when really it's not as big of a deal as it seems if you're valuing what random people on Twitter are saying. But you know, I do think there are cases where, and here's the thing: if you say something stupid on the internet, you should be allowed to say something stupid on the internet, and even if it's something that you definitely shouldn't say, then it should be like, okay, you know what, I fucked up. Whoops,
Yeah.
sorry. And so I think now people are afraid to say things, and I think that's really dangerous, because then you have discussions that don't take place that should take place. And so I think it's really counterproductive to the causes that people say that they're kind of defending, when they're policing what people are saying on the internet. It backfires, I think. I think now then it makes it harder for people, when things are actually a big deal, to take it, you know, to take that seriously. If that makes
Agreed.
sense.
It does. He brought up Demi Lovato. Did you see the article that some interviewer interviewed her, and she had mentioned that at night she sings to what she thinks is a spirit in her house because it will help them get over the patriarchy or patriarchal like tyranny that ghost had experienced in the past. I read that. I was like, no way is this real. But it's real.
Yeah, I
Wild.
think when you're pop stars in general tend to be a little out there and not and in their kind of own bubble, but I think there's definitely a difference. I think Demi Lovato is definitely a whole nother galaxy, and I think it's just strange that it like I don't know it like that situation is strange to me because it's like here's someone who relapsed over and over again, and I understand that like we want to give people second chances. We want to, be vulnerable, be able to be vulnerable and be open. But it's as if because she is vulnerable and open about those things, then it's like she gets a pass. Where at the end of the day, yeah, she's being open and vulnerable, but she's still not learning from her mistakes. So why is this someone that people want to look up to or kind of defend in that way? Um, when she makes at the end of the day she makes really bad life choices and is maybe not the smartest, uh, and so it's crazy to me that to even call someone out on something, then it's all of a sudden it's that's transphobic, even though it had nothing to do with that whatsoever. It was literally just like this
Yeah.
person's full of shit. um, but people when people read things, they more and more so now they read what they want to read and what they want to see. And I think everybody wants to step up to defend everything, but without kind of thinking first and being kind of rational about it, because the internet isn't really a rational place. So I've learned to not take it seriously and remind myself um, that it that it is just that it's not real life. People who are important that I care about their how they feel. They know me and they know what's up and how to rationalize it. But it does suck that when I talk to people who are that I know that are much more well known than me, that have a much bigger platform, when we talk about it, and they're like, yeah, there's things I can't say,
Yeah.
but I just like we can talk about it personally, but if they were to say anything remotely like that publicly, then it would be a stoning. Like it would just be a whole big thing, and then it gets to the point where sometimes it's not a matter of if you're afraid, but just more of is it worth it? Is it worth it? But for me, I feel like a lot of times it kind of is for the sake of making sure that we don't slide into a, a heavy censorship of what people can and can't say. Um, I think things can be examined, but things are constantly over-examined, where sometimes something just is what it is. It doesn't necessarily um, have to do with you know a social justice cause or something like that. So when people make it about that when it's not, then people do a disservice to the actual cause that they're trying to defend. Um,
I agree, 100%. So before you had mentioned that maybe people shouldn't look up to Demi Lovato considering her past and certain relapses. Who do you look up to? Who are some of the people that, or one person that you think is like, hey, this is someone that everyone can rally around?
um, I think like the people that I look up to are kind of like John Waters, like people who push the envelope and provoke people. I think I really love John Waters because he does that, but he's very joyous about it, very kind of non-confrontational about it. Um, People like Madonna, I think, are very inspirational. I think maybe now the Madonna of now is I don't really recognize per se. I think early mid '90s Madonna, she had a lot of great sayings that I kind of live by now. Like, I might be paraphrasing incorrectly, but how's the quote go? Most people are too afraid to say what they want, and that's why they never get what they want. So kind of things like that. So people who, kind of champion not giving a shit, basically.
Yeah, I love Madonna. She still looks great. She came out with an NFT, or is coming out with an NFT. Have you seen that?
Yeah, she did with People. I believe.
Is that out yet?
I think it's been out. Yeah, I think a few months ago it was released. It was like an animated series of a few different
really
ones.
Wild.
Yeah.
I was thinking about getting that because it's just nothing like I've ever seen before, at least in an NFT. And I was like, this is so cool. I don't know how much it went for. How much
People
they
is
are?
definitely one of those people that I look up to as well. We follow each other on Twitter. I've talked to him a few times over the years. I've been a fan of his for like a decade, and he gets my sense of humor, and vice versa. And I feel like he's also definitely one that pushes the envelope and kind of gets people to think with his art, whether or not it's political or not. Every piece that he puts out, there's something to think about. That he's just trying to not necessarily say this, but just kind of show a mirror of, of life, and kind of make you think, what do I think about this?
Yeah,
I think that's very important.
that is cool.
We need it a lot now.
I think so too. I love obviously hard times are hard for everyone, but I love like the innovation of the artwork. I love the inspiration that it gives people, and then it just gives us. I feel like from hard times come really good fruits of that laborious process of getting through it. So we have been going on for about an hour, which I know is about all you have. Any last things you'd like to say to the audience or people that would like to watch this in the future?
No, just go buy my album on vinyl right now, because there's a hot pink variant of the vinyl of my album Digital Life Lasagna Quest. Oh, actually, I have it right here. Which this is the box set, which is sold out, but the hot pink vinyl is fucking dope, and I want to show you guys this because I'm really, really excited about this. The hot pink vinyl and actually the artist that I did this cover with is Blunt Action. So they did, I believe they did I could be wrong, but I think they did the Lil Nas X album cover.
Sweet.
They've done a lot of different people since then. This I got done years ago, like almost 2 years before the album came out. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be able to afford them, to be honest. But this hot pink vinyl.
Oh, that's awesome. Everyone, the link to his Twitter is down below. Last one there, and from there you can get his link tree.
Yeah.
Go to his OnlyFans.
I think there are still some of these left. I know the box set with the gold vinyl is sold out, but honestly, I think I like the hot pink better than the gold. But yeah, I plan on doing a lot more. I'm going to be reissuing a lot on vinyl and cassette, like re-releasing and then releasing for the first time on vinyl some albums over the next few years. So that's pretty exciting to get to do, especially nowadays because the rules are kind of out the window, especially with the marketplaces. It's like you don't have to. You don't have shelf spaces anymore necessarily. People get everything online. So it's like if you want to re-release an album on a different format, go ahead and do it and promote it. And, I don't have a label to answer to, so whatever I want to do, I kind of do. And so now I'm kind of like, you know what? Let me revisit my albums and kind of re-release them on different formats that maybe I haven't before, or restocking and everything.
Good. I'm very happy for all the success you have. I can't wait to be on one of your next spaces. Thank you so much for coming. Everyone say bye-bye to Dashie. It's my dog in the background. Bye-bye, Dashie.
Thanks for having me. Oh, you got that? Where?
It's a dog statue. It's not a real dog.
Oh, I thought you had an actual dog. Oh, okay. I got excited.
No, the Dashie's just in all my videos, and people and my fans love Dashie, so I do too. I have a tradition of saying bye to it.
Thanks so much for having me. It was fun.
Yeah, so it was good. You have a good one. And again, guys, link down below to Twitter and everything. I'll catch y'all later. Bye, guys.